Smells like the backside of a rhinoceros and sweaty underwear. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Treasure and I am the Coddywampler. Thanks so much for tuning in again. So today I thought we could do a story time on my very first experience being in a hostel and what that was like. It was a whirlwind of emotions, to be quite frank with you. Okay, so I guess it's a bit of a long story and I'll try and cut out all of the blur and just get straight to the meat of it. But this was back in 2016. I'd just gone through a whole bunch of stuff in 2015. 2015 was a terrible year for me. But then 2016 I was like, right, that's it. Let's go traveling, let's go do something. But I don't know about you guys, but I was terrified to go traveling at first. Like, I didn't know the first thing, like where I was going to go. And even though I traveled as a kid, I just like felt myself like freaking out every time I went to book a flight or something like that. Anywho, moving forward, so at my work, the receptionist was actually a flight attendant, and she used to be a flight attendant for Emirates. And one day we just got talking and she started telling me all about it, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And it just so happened that Emirates were actually doing a recruitment drive in Melbourne that weekend, and I was talking to her on like the Tuesday or something, and I was like, okay, that's it, let's just book the ticket, let's go to Melbourne and just see what happens. Now, on that weekend it was St Kilda Festival or something, and there was all these like other festivals happening and blah 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 blah. So there was nowhere to stay. Everywhere was booked out. I looked at like Airbnbs, I looked at hotel rooms, and they were like $1,000, $2,000, etc. And I was like, okay, well, all that's left was this one bed in like Discovery Melbourne Hostel. And I was like, okay, it's for 2 nights, Treasure, like just deal with it, you'll be fine. Because before that I was super anti hostels. Like, I was not for hostels whatsoever, like at all. No, I'm a princess, I am bougie, I liked my personal space. Anyway, it was the only accommodation available, so I was like, well, I'm gonna have to do it regardless of whether I want to or not. So I booked the flights, booked the hostel room, and so the whole flight over and just the whole airport, like, it was something else. I mean, I was such a bloody princess. Like, I rocked up to the airport with this obnoxiously large suitcase. I don't know where I thought I was going. Like, I was literally going for 2 days and I brought this massive suit. Like, it was huge, this suitcase. Anyway, checked in, blah blah blah, get on the flight, and as we're like in the in-air service starts coming around, and I was on Qantas and I hadn't flown Qantas in, I don't know, since I was a kid, and he came around and he was like, oh, do you want any food or beverages? And I was like, oh, how much? And he was like, oh, you know, for you, honey, it's on the house. And like everyone around me giggled, and I was like, okay, well, no. So what I found out was Qantas does free in-service meals. I didn't know that to begin with. Anyway, so touchdown in Melbourne, took me probably like an hour and a half to find this bloody hostel, and then I get there and oh my god, like this girl at the, have you ever been to a hostel and the person on checkout or check-in or whatever is just the most ridiculous human being you've ever met? Like, they're rude, they're obnoxious, they have zero time for you. And look, maybe it's because I'm a bit of a bougie princess and I do enjoy my I don't know, Hilton service, you know, like, greet me with a smile, okay? Don't greet me with a I don't want to be serving you, I just want to be getting drunk look on your face. Anyway, so I got checked in, I'm with this massive suitcase again. So everybody else in the hostel is with, you know, these like backpacks, and I walk in with this massive suitcase and trying to like drag the suitcase up the stairs to my room. And then I get to my room. Holy shit. So I walk into my room and it is like, it smells like the backside of a rhinoceros mixed with smuggled alcohol and sweaty underwear. It was just, there was shit everywhere. It was disgusting. I was like, I cannot stay in these conditions. Like, anyway, as I walked in, there was 3 Swedish girls who were sitting like on the ground, like on their beds and whatnot. And I sort of walked in and sort of went, hi, you know, like, didn't really make eye contact. They were like, oh, hey, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. And they started making a full conversation with me. Now, anyway, these girls are like, oh, you know, what are you doing tonight? Blah, blah, blah. Like, they're asking me all these questions. And I'm thinking, anyway, you know, we had a bit of a chat and they're like, oh, we're going out. And I was like, oh, well, I can't go out because I've got this job interview tomorrow and I want to be fresh-faced, etc. for it. So they were like, okay, yeah, no worries. So I spent about half the night Googling on my phone, trying to find some cheap accommodation close to the city that I could escape to, because I was like, this hostel life is not for me. Like, it is not for me. I just want to reiterate how green I was when it came to the whole hostel life. Like, I took my obnoxiously large suitcase, I hauled it up until the second bunk bed, like the top bunk bed, and slept with it all night because I was scared that someone was going to go steal my suitcase, my locked suitcase. Like, anyway, I finally fall asleep, wake up in the morning, go to the Emirates interview. I didn't get the job, FYI. So let's just skip past that whole, you know, bit. Anyway, so I get back to the hostel and the Swedish girls are there and they're like, oh, you know, did you get the job? And I was like, no, I didn't. Like, boo-hoo. And they're like, oh, well, do you want to go out? And I was like, yeah, let's just let loose. Like, why not? Saturday night, we're in Melbourne, what else are we gonna do? So we went out, we got some Nando's, got something to eat, and then on the way back they were like, okay, so you've got to sneak your alcohol in, like, you cannot just walk in with it. And I was like, well, this is a brand new concept. So FYI, if you haven't ever stayed in a hostel before, a lot of hostels are very strict on their alcohol policy, so you're probably not going to be able to take your own alcohol in, even though everyone does anyway. So there's 4 of us, right? These 3 Swedish girls and myself walking through the hostel, like clinking, like chunka 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 chunka, because we've got all of this alcohol that we're trying to sneak past the reception to get up to our room. It was insane. It's when the night started to get better and my perception of being in a hostel and staying in a hostel started to change, and change rapidly. I don't know if it was the alcohol talking or if it was legitimate, but I think it's pretty legit. I sleep in hostels all the time now. But so we all started sitting around, and then people from other dormitories ended up in our dormitory, and there was just this massive campfire of people. Like, there was obviously no fire because we're like second story at a bloody Melbourne apartment building, but yeah, so there's just a massive group of people sitting around in a circle. We're all drinking, talking, and like trading stories about, you know, all different parts of the world. Like, the Swedish girls were talking about when they were in Asia, and then there was some Irish guys, and there was this guy from Israel, and then there was this older guy who was like going to a hippie festival. It was just insane, and I'd never been in a situation where there was such a diverse group of people sitting in a circle from all different ages, all different backgrounds, all different beliefs, just talking absolute shit and getting pretty much shit-faced. Like, it was genuinely a really, really amazing, I think we were there for about 3 hours or so, just starting to run an absolute muck. And then from there, my attitude, I suppose, towards the whole weekend completely changed. Like, decided that we were going to go to Chapel Street in Melbourne, and what happens on Chapel Street stays on Chapel Street. But no, we're like the night continued in the same vein that it had been. You know, it was just really chill, good vibes, great company, and it didn't help that the next day I missed my flight because I had a 6 a.m. flight out of Melbourne. Missed the flight by like a minute or something. I was devastated. Who books a 6 a.m. flight on a Sunday? Anyway, I booked a 6 a.m. flight on the Sunday, missed my plane, and ended up having to drive back to Adelaide. But that is a whole other kettle of fish for another day. So to sum up the experience, first night in the hostel, absolute disaster, hated everything about it. Second night in the hostel, the most amazing night of my life. It is still up there as one of the most fantastic, most phenomenal experiences that I have ever had. But anyway, I hope you liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. If you didn't like it, leave a note in the comments as to why, and I will see you in my next video. Okay, bye!